Welcome into the PB&J Trench Talk podcast. We are back again to recap and preview and talk all the trenches for your beautiful ears and faces. I am your host, Draft Guy Jared. He is your other host, Parker Blake. Parker, how you doing?
Oh, never better, man. Just talking through our shadow teams, man. I'm glad we started this, but I hate that we did it, man.
I know it's good. It was a bad transition. We went from talking nothing but shadow teams to the podcast. So just another big week of football. It is in fact football season. If you haven't noticed, we watched some games. It was I didn't pay as much attention as I have been the past couple of weeks. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of slouched on my homework because it was my anniversary this week.
Hey, happy anniversary, buddy.
Thanks. Me and the wife been together for 2 whole years.
Attaboy.
Well, married for 2 years. We've been together for 6.
That's worth something. It's worth something.
Yeah. So we did a lot of celebrating this weekend. Like Saturday night, we went out and we went to the casino after we had a nice fancy dinner. And I looked at the sports book and I was like, oh, I'm not putting any live bets down because I'm terrified of actual human interaction during a sports book. So just put it on my phone and I'm happier.
You don't have a virtual sports book?
I do on my phone, like, but it was the first time I had ever been there. I usually in those situations I panic and just go and do something that I know how to do. So I played blackjack for like the rest of the time we were there.
My favorite part about the casino that we go to is they have a little kiosk for the sports book. So you don't have to talk to nobody. You just go in. I mean, the thing's from like 1987, so it takes like 4 hours to put a slip together, but it's fun. We don't have to talk to anybody and I can lose money.
Yeah, they had like a window. I didn't see any kiosks or anything, and I was the only person in line. So like all of the people at the window were just kind of staring at me. I was like, I just got here from dinner. I don't even know what games are on right now. I definitely am in the wrong spot, so I'm just gonna go play blackjack now.
Fair. That's fair.
But I did watch a little bit of college football early in the day. Just loaded up on some NFL Sunday. Not really. I just watched 1 or 2 games on Sunday. That was also a lie. So yeah, just all around slacking, man. It was a long week and an even longer weekend. So I do have some notes if we want to get this review show started. I like that every time I flash to the notes and then flash back, I can see that everybody can see the color change in my glasses from my notes. I'm just now noticing that. I wonder if that's been like a theme for the past couple of weeks.
I gotta say, I haven't noticed it. However, I'm also not very observant. So
okay, well, we're starting off the audio part of this strong. Hey, did you notice this thing I'm doing?
Killing it.
First game of the week. Let's start where we always do. Thursday night football. Lions Packers. Lions came out and they just stuck it to the Packers and then forgot how to play football for like 3 quarters.
That was the worst game to watch ever because it was like, wow, this is going to be a boat race, and then it was like, wow, we don't know how to play football anymore. And then near the end of it, we're like, okay, I guess there's some life in this game now that it's almost over.
So my flight got delayed twice on Thursday. I got to our flight didn't leave till 8:30, so I caught like the first 15-20 minutes in the airport just on my phone, and then I caught like the 5 minutes before halftime when I landed, and then I went to bed because it was super late. So that was that first 15 minutes was all I really saw, and it looked good from the Lions. So
all you really needed to watch.
Yeah, and they won. So the first 15 minutes turned out to be the whole game. Moving on to the other weird I don't know how to it was on at 9:30 in the morning, and the only way I could watch it was the Pixar version. Was Jags Falcons, and I turned it on. I woke up late. I I was dealing with babies and stuff, and by the time I finally turned it on and realized that the only way I could watch it was on Disney Plus, Desmond Ridder threw 2 interceptions. So the Jags took it to the Falcons because they are London's team. You got anything on that game?
So I have a funny story because I was trying to be nice to my wife. It was early in the morning. I'm usually up anyway. 7:30 kickoff my time, which isn't great, but I was there. But I was like, oh, in case Kenzie wakes up, I'm gonna turn this game on. I'm gonna turn on the Toy Story version. I'm sure she'll love it. That way, when she wakes up and see there's football on, she'll be like, oh, this will be fun to watch. And I watched probably 2.5 quarters of the game on the Toy Story version. And she wakes up and rolls over and is like, oh, what's this? I'm like, oh, the game. They're doing the Disney Plus version this week. Like, this is, I thought you would enjoy this. And she's like, why would I want to watch this? I want to watch normal football. So I watched 2.5 quarters of the Toy Story version just for her to wake up and immediately say, no, please turn on real football. And I'm like, oh, great. Glad I did this to myself.
A couple of things I liked. The motion capturing, whatever technology they were using, was really accurate.
It was really good.
Yeah, I was really surprised by it. Secondly, we definitely need to get rid of chains and use Slinky Dog.
Yes, yes, that was the best feature of the whole game.
Yeah, Slinky Dog is awesome. Get rid of the chains. And my last note is just use the claw to spot balls. I feel like you can attach a camera to that thing. Every stadium needs a claw. So
I agree. I think the claw was awesome. The ball was like the most glitchiest thing ever throughout the whole game, but the mocap for the players was great. I think they did a good job doing it. It was a very mediocre football game, but it was fun to watch. I enjoyed it. I will say.
Yeah, I don't think anybody watched the whole game as the Toy Story version. I don't think it was entirely possible.
It was a fun little go though.
Yeah, I like when they do goofy, like the Nickelodeon games, this stuff. Do different stuff. Like, do what you can. It's fun. It's football. It's supposed to be. All right.
We love the Nickelodeon games in our house. I will say that.
Yeah. So let's get into all of the meat and potatoes of the NFL slate. I think it's probably one of the weirdest weeks of football we've seen in a hot minute.
It was insane.
So,
it's crazy.
I have in the notes 7 games that were just absolute dominance from teams. So hold on, I'm gonna go through these games, just the scores, because these games are ridiculous. Jaguars, Falcons, Jags wins 23-7. That's a little lopsided. Ravens, Browns, Ravens win 28-3. Titans, Bengals, Titans win 27-3. Bucks beat the Saints 26-9. Texans beat the Steelers 30-6. The Cowboys beat the Patriots 38-3. And then the Seahawks beat the Giants on Monday Night Football 24-3. All three, at least 3 touchdown victories by these teams. And there was 7 of those games. Just absolutely ridiculous weekend of football that just, I mean, it didn't seem like as entertaining of a weekend. And I think that's part of the reason I just couldn't get into it is because I had all this stuff going on. And then like you flip on a game and it's just this super lopsided affair. Yeah. Even at one point, the afternoon game, what was it? The Chargers and Raiders or whatever it was, that game was super lopsided till the end. Like it was just a hard week for football.
Well, then the Bears were up like 21 points at one point in their game.
Yeah, and then they lost to the Broncos. At least that was a comeback. At least something exciting happened in that game. Most of those games were snooze fests by halftime.
Oh, and it's crazy. Like, I mean, the blowout's crazy in itself, but how one-sided they were. Like the limited scoring on the other side of all of those games is wild to me because it's like usually an NFL blowout, it's like, some crazy score like 40 plus to like 17 or 14 but you got like 0 touchdowns out of all of these teams. And I'm like, how do you go 4 quarters of an NFL game and not get in the end zone? Like, that's crazy to me.
Somebody been in the Gatorade coolers. There's something in the water down there, man. I don't know what was happening. These games were just ugly.
Man.
So let's break them down one by one. Why don't we?
Let's do it.
Ravens crushed the Browns. I mean, they were poor DTR, man. That was their poor Browns offense couldn't get anything started. They were dealing with their 5th-round rookie quarterback.
Why are you not running the ball? Why are you subjecting this man?
Well, Nick Chubb's out, man, and I mean they can't really. I mean they're struggling to pass protect. Everybody's kind of picking on Jedrick Wills right now because he's the weak link in the chain. And I mean the Ravens were able to do the thing that the Ravens do. They were wearing down the Browns defense over time with long runs. I saw some really cool stuff with their motions and gap scheme runs and all kinds of stuff Monk is throwing in there. They had the Browns defense in a blender, and they were able to lean on them for 4 quarters. So the Ravens were able to play their game. Browns playing from behind. It's something we also saw with the Titans and the Bengals. Bengals got behind the Titans, and the Titans were able to just kind of lean on them for the whole game and run up the score. The first possession of the second half for the Titans was 10 minutes long. Like, I think a lot of these teams, if they're being able to successfully run the football and establish the run, instead of like just putting up points, they're just leaning on these defenses because offenses are trying to dig themselves out of a hole. And I think we saw that throughout the NFL this weekend.
Well, it's just a blast. Like, as a trench guy, you love to see when the NFL is getting back to running the ball. Like, teams that are running the ball well are doing well. And that's like that Titans game is crazy because you have a 21-0 second quarter for the Titans. And then you come out and just, again, lean on this defense for almost a whole quarter. Like, that's just demoralizing to any football team. And like that's the key to winning games. I talk about all the time where you want to win the time of possession battle. And especially if you can get up early, even if it's just a score, just a field goal, if you can just grind away, like these defenses are going to get tired, especially in the NFL. If you're running the ball physically and you're just getting those chunk plays, it's like things you'll love to see as an underbetter, right? Where you're getting like 3-3-4 and you're getting that first down and you're just chunking away. Like it's just awesome. I love watching the run game, man. That's why I love watching these NFC teams. But man, these teams that can just get up early and just kill your defense's motivation is just awesome to watch for me.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of the offenses, like we were talking about early in the season, defenses using a lot of multiples, a lot of multiple looks, simulated pressures and stuff. I think we're starting to see the adjustment. It's teams being more willing to run the football, run it downhill, take time off the clock, just take what the defense is giving you. And I really think offenses, we're starting to see the adjustment to the adjustment. And then now we're going to start seeing defense countered with heavier boxes and stuff. I bet we'll start to see more slugfests throughout the middle of the year as we build up for playoff time, as the offenses will want to start spreading out and whatnot a little bit more as we get through December and January. But I think these next couple months, slobber knocker time.
Well, that's the best thing, right? Because you'll see all these offenses go run heavy that can. Defenses will condense, and then that's when you get those late season shootouts. You get these crazy high scoring, crazy stat games purely because now offenses can open it up and put defenses back in conflict. But like right now, like the early part of the season is always the most fun, and it feels the most like college football, where you have all these excited fans. These teams are excited to figure out who they are for the year. And you end up like with weeks like this where it's just like, man, this was not fun for half the league, but this is so awesome for the other half.
This week is the we have tape on you week. We've got the film. We know what you're going to do, all right? All right, so the next game I want to talk about is Bucs Saints, because we have hinted at it the past couple of weeks, and I was telling you earlier on, I actually got a more in-depth look at the Bucs. I think the Bucs are pretty good. I think they have I would say they're the front runner in the NFC South right now, because they're one of the most put together teams. We talk about it all the time about finding your identity. The Bucs know what they are. They are absolute menacing team on defense. They rotate so many guys in and out on their defensive front. Poor tackles, even defensive lines, they move guys around with funny fronts and stuff. Offensive lines have no idea what is coming at them from a down snap from these Bucks. So I was watching that while I was watching. You'll see later in the film room. I came away really impressed with the Bucks, and I think they really, even though he's been on like 4 different teams in 3 years, I think Baker Mayfield's kind of found a fit there in Tampa Bay. So I think we should all kind of accept that the Bucks might be the best team in the NFC South, and they're probably a playoff team this year.
Well, and it's fun with the NFC South because, like, through 3 weeks, you're like, okay, but who are you really? And that's where it's like this week 4, the way that it went was really fun because it's like I was a guy that was like, well, I mean, the Bucks are good, but there's a lot of teams that are good early in the season, good in September, and then just poop out and they can't figure out what's going on and they forget who they were and they start doing weird stuff. And I feel like the Bucks really have found a groove and they could be a team that's really, I mean, if you look at their schedule coming up, they could be in a great spot after their bye, around the mid-season mark through 10 games ish. I mean, this team looks pretty legit right now.
Yeah. They even have like the pirate vibe. I love it. I kind of like what's going on in Tampa Bay right now.
That team that went to the playoffs with a losing record looks pretty legit now.
Right. Also, Saints, we are very close to hitting the panic button on the Saints, man. They can't stay healthy. They're putting Derek Carr in there all beat up. Like, come on, guys. Like, what are we doing down there? You guys are constantly over the cap, always trying to win. But this season really feels like it's going to be a slog for the Saints.
You just hate to see that where it's like, 3, 4, 5 games into a season, you're just like, wow, you're in for a long 12 games, buddy. It's not going to be quick.
If you follow us on Twitter, you will have seen that the Broderick Jones watch has moved to the green. We had Broderick Jones snaps, Steelers versus Texans. That's the only positive thing we can say about the Steelers' effort on Sunday. Is that their first round rookie is finally playing. Texans look good, man. It doesn't matter who's in there. They're going to play. They're going to beat your faces in. The Texans want to run the ball. They want to sling it all over the field. Texans are feisty, man. They are so fun to watch.
You heard it here first, man. I told you how much I love these Texans coming into the year, man. And I was worried. And I'm not saying they're going to be this crazy playoff team, but man, you love to see a scrappy team. You love to see it.
How fun is just the AFC South in general now with the Texans playing like they are, the Colts being way more competitive than anybody thought, the Jags being the top of the division, Titans always just being kneecap biters. Like, I think the South is a little underrated right now.
Both of them, right? AFC,
yeah.
NFC, they both showed up for the first season in like a decade. They're here.
Two of the most maligned divisions in all of football turn out like that they're actually fairly competitive.
It's about time, man. You love to see it.
Yeah. Continuing with the crushing themes, Cowboys crushed the Pats, man. Worst margin of loss in Bill Belichick's tenure as a New England Patriots coach, which is rough. I mean, Mac Jones he's checked out, man. It doesn't look like
action.
Yeah, they had to call him in, man. The Cowboys defense is not the defense that you want to do stupid stuff against. They made him pay. They look like they have not lost a step, even though Trayvon Diggs is out. The Cowboys are there. I can't wait till we get to the preview because we're about to find out a whole lot about the Cowboys next week.
And they just smothered the Pats, man. That was hard to watch.
Yeah. I do. Another game from Sunday that I do want to shout out is Eagles Commanders overtime. The only overtime game of the week. The Commanders coming back, proving me wrong once again for me doubting them. We said it was going to be a weird division game. It turned out to be Commanders. I mean, they're scrappy, man. Their defense comes to play. Their offense just finds ways to score. A lot of fun. The Commanders. I feel like they're just gonna be a fun team to follow throughout the season.
The Commanders are fun to watch, and the combination of that and them being just scrappy, and then the Eagles only being able to win by small margins because they always have to make the game close somehow. I mean, it's that you knew that was brewing to be a weird one, and that was fun to watch. I watched that one a couple times. I can't lie.
Would you have gone for 2 at the end of the game there?
Oh, I don't care. I'm always going for 2. I don't care.
My thing is everybody was like losing their mind about that. They got the ball first in overtime and didn't do anything with it. Why does it matter if they went for 2 or whatever?
Just go for it. Just always go for it. When it's the end of the game, we're not playing for overtime, man. We want to go.
All right, so that's all I have for NFL action this week. Do you got anything you want to hit on?
Broderick Jones. I did when I looked up Broderick Jones. He did have 4 pass blocking only snaps in week 1. Don't know what that was all about. But he got some run this week. Didn't grade out well as a pass protector. And on that note, Blake Freeland, Combine All-Star, also got his first start of the season this week. Also did not grade out well as a pass protector, but did grade out as an average run blocker. So just a couple rookie highlights there. But that's kind of all I had to go over.
Who's the Colts starting left tackle?
It's not Bergeron. It's
German, the German guy. It's gonna.
He literally looked this up the other day.
I am getting there.
I'm gonna beat you.
Probably.
Bernard.
Yeah, Bernard Raymond.
Yeah.
Is he hurt?
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised last year when he went in the 3rd round, but also not surprised. He was like 24, 25 coming out.
I was never high on him, though, so I was like, yeah. A lot of people were.
He didn't finish anybody for as dominant as he showed sometimes in college.
Yeah, exactly. He just didn't have a high motor, didn't seem very explosive.
Yeah. Very technically sound, though.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
All right. Also, I'm going to go ahead and shout out my unit of the week. Unit of the week brought to you by me because we don't have any sponsors. It's Khalil Mack, 6 sacks against the Raiders. I know the Raiders don't have the best offensive line, but 6 sacks. After I gave one man. After I gave my unit of the week to a guy with 10 pressures, I can't not give it to a dude who gets 6 sacks on top of that. So shout out Khalil Mack for breaking what most rookies will do this year in one game.
Well, also on that note, when you play the Giants, is your D-line good that week, or is the Giants O-line bad?
I think the Giants O-line is just bad.
I brought that up a couple weeks ago, and you're like, "Oh, let's see." I mean, this unit does not look good on any.
Yeah, I don't have. Part of the thing is, like, for me to give a definitive answer, I need to watch it. Like from the end zone. I know they've had a lot of moving parts early in the season. I know they just got a lot of young pieces on the line. Like, they had a more veteran unit last year, and I think just the inexperience, the attrition, the unhealthiness has all kind of caused the development to be hindered of the group as a whole. So I'm still not panicking about the Giants O-line. I mean, for the most part, you're stuck with them for 13 more games. Like, you're going to have to deal with the hand that you're dealt. And one thing, like, every team goes through this at some point in the season. A couple O-line get banged. They get banged.
Good for them.
They get banged up. And like it shows in games, and people are like, well, this O-line stinks or whatever. And it's just like, it's not that easy. It's not so easy. It takes continuity, it takes time, it takes experience. Like, instant results are definitely not going to happen in the trenches in general. Like, you're not going to get the same impact that you would like a wide receiver that's going in the top 10 picks. Like, no matter what way you chop it up, like, that's just not how any of this works.
Hey, I appreciate the coach speak answer, Jared. I really do. But no, I think that's a great point though, because it's like, I think a lot of people, Broderick Jones is a great example too, where it's like you're going to take these linemen high, you can build a young group of talented guys, it's not always going to work out. And it's like we've talked about even, I mean, you can't throw just the 5 best players out there at each position and expect them to work well together. So there's a lot of variables that go into O-line play, but man, you could not be off to a worse start. Oh, I guess you could. They haven't given up the most sacks in the league, but you could not be off to much worse of a start as a unit into the season.
Yeah, somebody was tagging me and some because I was a huge fan of Marcus McKeithen coming out of UNC 2 years ago, and he got picked up. He was drafted by the Giants 2 years ago, and his rookie year he tore his ACL, and he's starting now. He's coming off a torn ACL, and he didn't play at all last year. Like, this is basically his rookie season after coming off a major surgery, and people are like trying to absolutely tear him apart. It's like, will you just pump the brakes? Like,
you relax.
Right. Like, I want to see you come back a year after you tear your ACL and come and do his job. Like, just deal with it.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Right. All right. Let's talk some college football because I watched at least a little bit more college football than I did NFL football this week.
I finally won some money this weekend since you always talked about your degeneracy. Hit the first parlay of the year. It felt pretty good.
Yeah. What'd you get?
What
you have like at least a game you were involved in? Was it all one game? Was it multiple games?
Oh no, it was a five different games. 5 different games. Hold on. I'm pulling it up right now. And I was 1 game away. Freaking Navy. I gotta stop betting on Navy. Hold on. I'm finding it. This app, I have to use it anyway. Long story short, it's hard for me to gamble, but I found a way. There it is. So I had Air Force winning, and they were a massive favorite, and it showed in the final score. Mm-hmm. I had UAB covering. That ended up being a pretty competitive game till the end. Obviously, I had to throw Michigan in there. I think that's what started the bet because there was so much juice, and I just wanted the easy win because last week was kind of rough. I took an over on the Wyoming game and under on the Coastal Carolina game. That was the final leg in the parlay. The line was 66.5, and they scored 66 points.
Nice.
That was the biggest. I was like, that was the sweatiest game I've been a part of in a long time. And that was like the final leg of the parlay. I was like, let's do it. Let's go.
So let's talk about the biggest story coming out of college football this weekend. The Louisville Cardinals are 5-0, number 1 in the ACC. For at least
obviously
one
the
more
best
week.
team in the ACC.
For at least one more week.
We're
not going to talk about next week. Next week, I am concerned. You should also be concerned, even though your Cats looked fantastic against the Gators this weekend. I was shocked. I did not see that coming. So I gotta give them props when props are due. So I'm not gonna say BBN or go felines or whatever you want me to. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Good job.
UK 2K. That's basketball, but it don't matter. Big Blue Nation is here, but I'm not excited for Georgia. But we'll get there.
Friday night was a pretty exciting slate for college football. We had Louisville, NC State, BYU, Cincinnati, and Oregon State, Utah as our 3 games for the night. And I was very much in the 3 screen, like trying to follow all the games, like all at the same time. So Louisville wins 13-10 Friday night. Oregon State upsets Utah in Corvallis.
Yep.
So Pac-12 also just murdering each other already. The chaos is in full effect. So that was pretty wild Friday night. And then BYU beat UC. Man, I am not a Scott Satterfield fan. I hate that UC is going through this right now because I feel like they are so much more talented than what they're putting on the field right now. So UC, get your shit together now, please.
I do want to say it's fun being the Utah guy when a Cincinnati team comes to Utah and I get to brag about a win. However, I coach football and wasn't able to be at the game to see our favorite player, the Godfather, and his skyline hacks on the field. That was depressing for me when I learned that they were coming and it was a Friday. Just wanted to. I missed
Sorry.
out.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry to hear that, brother. Them and the Utes played Friday night. Is it like some kind of Utah holiday on Saturday? They just can't do it on Saturday.
I wish I had
some kind of Mormon thing. I don't know. I'm not very educated. Moving on. Saturday, let's go to the early slate. Like we were talking about. Who's UK's running back? Ray Davis? Is that what it is? I want to keep calling him Ray Allen for some reason.
Ray Davis is a monster.
He was running all over them Gators, dog. Offensive line was opening all kinds of holes. I bet that feels pretty fun. So I might dive into that. I think UK might have some transfers and stuff that could be pretty interesting come draft time. So that might be a good game to keep an eye out for in a future film room, possibly. I think that might be a fun one.
Well, that defense went crazy too. Like that was just a throttling of Florida, man.
It really was.
That.
I don't think a lot of people did, but their game next week.
I have to think about it. I was hoping we didn't get to 5-0 just to get disappointed. Anyway.
Next game, I want to talk about Kansas and Texas, which we thought was going to be a much more competitive game. Yeah. Looks like Texas is the class of the Big 12. That's all there is to it. Kansas tried to keep up with Texas. Jaden Daniel, or is it because there's Jaden Daniels? I think he plays for LSU, and Jalen Daniels. He plays for
Kansas. I thought Jalen Daniels was LSU.
Oh man, this is a bad look. I'm pretty sure Jalen Daniels is Kansas. I'm pretty sure it's Jalen is the.
Yeah, I don't know why I went against you because you're the college football guy. You're right. You're correct.
Yeah, he got hurt early on, so they had to go to Bean, their backup quarterback, and poor guy just couldn't keep up with Texas. Texas really took it to Kansas, especially in the second half. You mentioned them earlier. We're talking about the Wolverines, man. I really want to take a minute. So far, they haven't been tested, but I still think the Michigan Wolverines, I think they've shown that they're the best team in the country right now. I don't understand how they're not number one. Georgia's kind of laid some eggs, not so much overall full games, but definitely in halves. They struggled in the first half against South Carolina. They struggled in the first half against Auburn this past weekend. And Michigan has absolutely throttled the competition. I think they've only allowed each team like they just give them a touchdown so that it doesn't look so bad. And they do it pretty early in the game to kind of make you squirm.
Here's your hope.
Yeah, and then they do the thing that NFL teams do where they just lean on them the second half and then just run Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards for 1,000,000 yards. So their defense really looks like it's gelling together. I think Michigan right now looks like the most well-oiled machine in college football.
I don't disagree at all. I mean, I've always been a Wolverine fan, and I mean, just over that other team up there around the Ohio area. But they're just fun to watch, man. I could watch Michigan film all day.
Yeah, just a smash mouth style football. They're so talented in the trenches. For guys like us, like we look forward to seeing prospects pop up that say that they're from Michigan. Like it's you're in for a good scheme and a good time watching some Michigan tape. So we haven't talked about them, I think, enough on this show. So now they're definitely going to lose next weekend.
Oh, most definitely. You're welcome, Michigan.
Now let's go to our favorite division in all of college football, the one that brings me the most misery, the SEC West. Because the game I watched the most of on Saturday, and it was for like the most random reason ever. It was Texas Arkansas, because all the other games were snooze fest, and this one was pretty close until the fourth quarter. A&M has a legit defensive line. Oh gosh, I have the burps. It's drinking Cincinnati Bears. Everything's backwards.
The
Bengals.
cheater.
Bengals. What were we talking about? SEC West. Yeah, I watched most of the A&M and Arkansas. Arkansas is always a really well-coached offensive line, even if they're not the most talented. KJ Jefferson is a tough quarterback to contain. A&M did a really good job harassing him all game. So kudos to those guys. They have the talent. It's one of those things where I really think that A&M is starting to show a little bit more of their talent, showing that they're a pretty disciplined team this year. I have come away in the couple of glimpses I've seen from A&M, not thinking they're a playoff caliber, like exciting team, but they're definitely trending upward. I don't think we're giving A&M enough credit right now.
I mean, I talked about in preseason, and then the way they started off, I was like, maybe I missed on this one, but they're starting to ramp it up, and it's always fun to watch teams find themselves, catch that groove and get on that run of quality football, and it's really fun. Again, kind of this time of year when teams start to figure out who they're going to be, and just seeing how they progress from this point. I'm sure we'll get into that into the preview as well, but it's fun to see. Like, you see teams at this point where it's like, we've played X amount of games, and it's like, oh, do we know who this team is yet? Are we still trying to figure out who this is? And there's other teams where it's like, oh, wow, this team's really good, and they're going to be good. I don't really care who they play. So,
moving on. Alabama whooped Mississippi State, and then here we go again. LSU versus Ole Miss.
That was a disaster.
It was not a defensive game at all. Just an absolute barn burner. Ole Miss ends up topping LSU and made a bigger mess of the West than it needed to be.
More ways than one.
So, for those keeping score at home, Ole Miss has lost to Alabama. Alabama has lost to Texas, which isn't relevant until next year, but it's relevant for the one loss part. LSU has lost to Florida State and Ole Miss. LSU still has Alabama and A&M to play, and A&M and Alabama play next weekend. So somebody's got to come out on top. We don't know who, but somebody's got to come out on top.
Hey, somebody's got to win it at the end of the year, man. And I honestly, at this point, couldn't tell you who it's going to be.
No idea. No idea. It's like any given weekend, like somebody like just doesn't want to win that should.
I'm telling you, everyone's just fighting to not play in the end of the year. They're just like, sit this one out.
Yeah, and that's all I have for college football notes. It was a pretty chalk Saturday, I think. USC beat Colorado. Oregon stomped Stanford. There wasn't a whole lot of other. Penn State kind of messed with their food a little bit with Northwestern, and they ended up winning.
I thought that Houston game was going to be a shootout until it wasn't, but I tuned into that one to watch some Patrick Paul, and
Steve Wilson is a good edge rusher for Texas Tech.
Oh,
the one of the few 23 games I have right now is Oregon and Texas Tech, and I may have been watching a possible Oregon prospect that may show up in a thread.
I hear they have those.
I think Oregon's offensive line is really good.
It looks great.
I watched because I downloaded it today before we hopped on here, and I probably watched 4 series altogether, and that's a good unit. That is a really well coached, talented unit. Their center
right now, man.
Yeah, they're I would say they're three. They're what do we call this? Their center and 2 tackles, like their constellation. I don't know what to call it.
There.
Not including the guards. Like those 3 they're NFL players. All right. So that was it for college football. You want to do a film room?
I mean, I'm never going to say no to a film room. I do want to highlight one player, and it's only because he's from Utah, Big fan of the local guys popping up on the national spotlight, but your national sack leader plays at the University of Utah. He's got 7.5 sacks in the year. Jonah Ellis.
Jonah Ellis. I'm going to have to write that down. Not right now, though, because it is time to get in the film room. For audio listeners, this is where you're going to hear the weird cut and then us pick up a random sentence later on because I will forget to cut it back. And then for all of you film junkies, you crackheads, you YouTube rabbit hole divers, this is for you. This is for you.
This one wasn't a surprise for me. I'm excited. I got to say, I'm excited.
This, for those of you that follow me, know I was a huge Gervin Dexter fan, coming into the 2023 NFL draft. Man, I woke up, I went to bed late last night. I'm in the middle of rebuilding a V12 at work. I'm a little loopy. So this film room is not going to be as informative as usual.
Hey, don't lie to yourself ahead of time. Now.
So this was a draft prospect from last year, drafted by, I don't even know what pick he was drafted. Drafted by the Bears in the second round. He is a defensive tackle. I, for one, thought he was a first-round talent, starter-level player as I evaluated him last year. I think he has awesome size, incredible length, strength, and I just came away really impressed looking through his first 4 games. He plays a pretty rotational role. Chicago doesn't have him as a starter currently. So these clips are just in situations suited to what they're asking him to do. So a couple of man, I really don't know how I want to start this. Because usually when we do this, it's like I'm introducing a player, but this is the first time we've actually watched a player that's already been through college, been through the draft process, and now is in the NFL. This is him, 99.
I always think he's such a bigger man than he is, but he is not small.
No, he's not. And I like Chicago uses him kind of like Florida did, all over the front. You'll see him at the nose. You'll see him here in a 3. He'll shade 4-eye. I've even seen him out in a 5. Plays all the way, all over the front for the Bears. One thing I will say that a lot of people knocked him for were his effort. They said he didn't have down-to-down consistency. And that a lot of people thought he had a lack of athleticism, which his combine scores show you differently. And as you will see on this play, he's kind of answering the bell. This play is a backside. He's chasing down a backside. And this is not something you would have seen him do at Florida. Big man moving.
He's here for the NFL. He's here.
Yeah. And there, I mean, not much of a block to be shed there. But the effort is definitely something in the first couple of games this season that are popping on tape. He makes a couple of plays where he's just hustling, man. And you love to see that from rookies. He's trying to make a name for himself. He's trying to prove that he should get more playing time. And through the first 4 games of the season, his playing time has increased throughout the games. So we were talking about the Bucks earlier. So this is the Bears and the Bucks. Dexter is here. He is lined up, as you can see, straight up on a 5. He is head up on the left tackle. This is going to be an attempt at a double. Dexter is going to slide inside, and he's going to use the push, the double from Gadecki here to shed the block from Mock. So it's going to be pretty quick, but it was probably one of the most impressive reps that I saw in the first 4 games.
Well, that right guard there is a guy that a lot of people were pretty high on, from an athletic perspective. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yep. And I mean, these are rookie on rookie crimes. So,
Yeah.
so you see him move to a 3, head up on the tackle or on the guard.
Wow, you can't be doing. Man's got a family.
Yeah. So, oh.
Yeah,
I'm trying to slow this down, but you can see him get that outside hand up under, right here, and he plants. And as soon as the tackle goes to kind of shove him to help him with that reach, Dexter just plants him on his face.
he's gone.
And he's able to make the stop. So Gervin Dexter's run defense in college was this level. This is exactly what I thought would translate. I was really impressed going through these games how often the Bears were using him against the run game and using him to his strengths. So here we go. This is another run. Poor Cody Mock, man. He got the Gervin Dexter treatment.
He really was welcomed to the NFL by a rookie. I mean, things you love to see out here. But I mean,
that's North Dakota State versus SEC right there.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's the difference. If anybody's asking why some people worry about level of competition, this is why. But this is exactly like you're seeing translatable skills here. I am so much more interested in run defense and stuff in college because this is the stuff you need to be able to do in the NFL to be able to see the field early. And Dexter's showing it, man.
He's got such great hands.
He does. It's lightning fast. And like I feel like another underrated is how quick he reads blocks. Like he's into the chest and his eyes are up every single time. And it's kind of like he doesn't do like the actual lock and peek. He kind of he kind of locks after he figures out where it's going so he can use it to shed. It's a really because he's so big, like he's not going to get under people's pads for that kind of leverage, but he's so strong it doesn't really matter.
I remember like on his college tape seeing his play strength, but I remember seeing his hands flash like this. I guess I don't know if that's something I just missed, but like man, like his hands are more active now that he's moved to the NFL. I definitely noticed, especially with pass rush reps. Like he's swatting at hams and stuff a lot more. But this is the kind of stuff he was doing in college. Like he's very skilled technically against the run. Like this is all stuff that popped on film. This is him backside here. Just chasing down plays, man. That's all you want.
He's 6'6", 320 pounds. Like he's chasing down plays. I just you don't see that hustle all the time, and I was just really happy to see it because it was definitely something he didn't do in college. Here he is here. This is against Joe Tooney.
That's a Pro decent Bowl level guard. A decent player right
there. Right. You know, one of the highest paid guards in football.
Man, he just jams him. That's awesome.
Yeah, jam, squeeze, and then sheds him to get in on the tackle.
I like the late extension. I didn't think I would. I didn't like the body to body, but I kind of like how he uses that to give himself rushing lanes opposed to using it as just a means to see. He can see through the blocker and then extend to make the move work, and I appreciate that about him.
Yeah, it's one of those things I always talk about. Players playing within themselves, like he knows he's not going to get his pads low enough to make any defensive line coach happy. You know what I'm talking about? He's not making every defensive line coach or just coach in general has probably told him to get his butt down. Like
he's hitting his head on the chute every time.
Right, exactly. But like if you can generate the power you need to move guys, like that's more important in my book. And Dexter, like he does so good doing that. We'll see the exact same thing. This is the best pass rush rep I got from Dexter. This is him here. He's gonna go one-on-one versus Trey Smith here.
I hear he's decent.
He's a good football player.
Good. Just
how many times have you seen Trey Smith throw his anchor like like
well,
he's
dropping like what you saw at Dexter in college was like, oh,
2, 3, 4.
Oh my goodness. You just walk him back. Like that is not a bad football player.
No, if this wasn't Patrick Mahomes, this isn't a touchdown.
Because Trey Smith got a mean like You don't understand, like when that guy resets like that, it's usually game over. Like he'll usually
Yeah.
out leverage you, and that's like set done. And you can see him like that's a panic block where it's like, oh shit, this is
Yeah.
coming, and it's coming like right now, right now.
Yeah. So like Dexter is stronger than some of the strongest NFL players out there right now. So just another check for like things I saw on college tape that are translating very early. Just awesome stuff from Dexter. And then this one, this is the only he didn't play much during the Denver game for some reason. Well, Chicago did have the ball a lot more than Denver, so that was probably a lot of the reason. But this is how you crash on a loop on any kind of twist.
Oh, you love a good pick. Yeah.
Just taking out two guys, man. If only his his 3-tech could have got around him faster. You know what I'm saying? Like if he didn't hesitate like that.
How do you let your pick man take down 40% of the O line and you still lose the rep? Like how does that even happen?
I don't know, man. So the Bears defense really is just kind of a hot mess. I really think Dexter needs more run, especially with their first team. They have Josh Jones and Andrew Billings as their two starting defensive tackles. Some of my favorite reps from watching all of this were Andrew Billings and Gervin Dexter lining up together and taking on the run. But the real issue with the Bears right now, and it's really kind of, I feel like, limiting Dexter's his production, definitely, because he still takes on a lot of doubles. He does a lot of things he was asked to do in college where he's not going to put up big counting stats or anything like that. But he does a fantastic job, like eating space and taking on blocks and shedding blocks and like pushing pockets and stuff like that. If the Chicago Bears could just get some pass rush around him, and maybe like Zach Pickens, also another defensive tackle prospect that they drafted last year, right after Gervin Dexter. He's showing a lot of promise. I really think they need to flip their starting rotation. I think Pickens and Dexter should be their two starters. But I just really I'm really proud of myself for being I was, and a lot of people thought like Gervin Dexter was gonna slide down boards and stuff. He went exactly where I thought he was going to. He's a mid-second round pick. He's not only was he like my kind of player, like a big hulking, nose tackle / 3-tech, could play a versatile amount of fronts, and was just this big hulking, strong run defender. Like all of those things scream like draft guy, Jared guy, and it's so cool to see that translation, because it's not something I've really kept up with since evaluating. So it was really fun to watch these 4 games and be like, oh, all of this stuff is translating. Like I can kind of put this in my like scouting notes for the future. Like these were all things that I got right. These are things I can build on and grow on and learn from. And then like all of the other, like the pass rush and stuff, like those are still rooms and areas he can grow. And that's exciting because the Bears are still such a young team. Like they're still a young, cheap, like not very talented team. And I really feel like they have a piece in Gervin Dexter to build around. And that is so important for the interior of your defense. So kudos to the Bears for picking Gervin Dexter. Kudos to Gervin Dexter for balling out these first 4 weeks of the season. And I can't wait to see how this all shakes up for the rest of the year. It's something I'm definitely going to pay attention to.
People will never understand the feeling of hitting on a draft crush and seeing them just absolutely kill it. And like, I am happy for you because I think my biggest draft crush was Steve Avila, and he's not doing half bad. And I'm glad that we both got like wins. It's good to like see those wins and see him produce. Like it's good to see some of that stuff out there, man.
Especially because like the draft is such a crapshoot. So like, me and you watch hundreds of prospects every year. Like most of the time, those guys don't even see the field. So to have a guy that is just, first of all, he's on a team.
He made it. He made it
right. You made it to the regular season. Number 2, he's getting meaningful snaps. Like I would say he probably played 25, 30 snaps a game in the games that I was watching. And you're seeing a little bit of development. You're seeing a little bit of improvement in the areas you thought were weak, but you're also seeing that foundation. So it was fun. I'm glad I decided to do that, and I can't wait to do it with more prospects throughout the season. If you follow me on Twitter, you also saw me throwing up a thread while I was doing this of Darnell Wright, which he was another huge draft crush. So I just had a lot of fun doing this.
Big game for Jared.
It was well, big film room for Jared. He was able to knock out a couple of things on his bucket list there.
Man, it's just you just love to see it. Just things you love to see. And I saw a lot of people like hammer you for liking Dexter and thinking he should go a little higher. And it's good to see him pan out, man.
Well,
I'm just glad you can watch D-line because I can't. So I'm just gonna start following you.
Well, to kind of piggyback off of all this, the reason I valued Dexter so much more than some of the other interior defensive line prospects is because, well, the value of defensive, like pure, like anchors, I've been calling them anchors as defensive tackles, are hard to come by. And you are seeing the market for those players explode. We have like 4 or 5 contracts for defensive tackles this past offseason go for over $20 million. Like these guys are getting paid. So if you're able to use premium, not even premium, draft capital on these guys instead of these $20 million, you're winning. So to have a piece that is showing as much promise for as cheap as he's going to be, because I'm pretty sure his rookie contract is going to be like less than $1 million per year. To have that value to build around is so important when you're building a roster. So it's a reason I was so high on Dexter, because I think these positions by more media outlets than NFL teams, because we saw Mozzie Smith go in the first round, and he was like the better version of Gervin Dexter this past year. And then Gervin Dexter got picked mid to early second round, and then Zach Pickens went to the same team. Like the value, like these teams value this position more, and they're going to moving forward. It's because, like we've been talking about all episode, like you've got to have that piece to be able to stop run, to make your fronts multiple, to be able to do all of the things. You need these versatile anchors. So I think Dexter is one of those. That's why I was so high on him in the draft, and I'm glad to see like it's so far. I mean, we're only 4 games into his career, but so far it seems to be working out.
My shadow draft team needs some help on the defensive line, so I'll definitely be following along with your threads because I failed miserably at drafting on the defensive front. So shout out Jared for being the go-to for D-line knowledge, my man.
I love watching some D-line. I haven't been doing it as much, so I think that was another reason I liked hopping in this, because I think the last prospect I watched, or no, I lied. I watched 3 Ohio State defensive prospects while I was stuck in the airport.
That's nothing. That's did you even watch film, Jared? Did you only 3?
Well, you know, while we're at it, Tyleik Williams from Ohio State, he is exactly what we're talking about. I'm going to be so much higher on Tyleik Williams than everybody else. I think he's probably the best defensive line prospect in Ohio State right now.
Oh,
you heard it here first. Hot take.
Write it down,
let's get this.
Write it down.
Let's get to some previews so we can get out of here. I'm getting text messages. My spaghetti's ready.
Not the spaghetti. It's okay. The preview should be pretty quick, though.
Yeah. Let's start with college because we got some big games. There's not a lot in between, but we got some real headliners. First one I'll start with is the Red River rivalry. It's not the shootout anymore because we can't say shootout. Oklahoma, Texas. The Cotton Bowl, it's going to be exciting. I think this is going to be a good game. Oklahoma has a good defense. They got a good offensive line. Texas has pummeled everybody they've been playing against. So I think this is going to look more like the old Red River rivalries than the past couple of years, which have been like really lopsided and just ugly football games. Bama is at A&M. This is what we were talking about earlier. SEC West, it's a huge matchup for that division.
Mm-hmm.
We are gonna, I mean, Bama or A&M are gonna come out as the top dog in that division after that game. So we've got that one to look forward to. UK and Georgia, which we alluded to. Maybe
Two
it's
undefeated teams in the SEC, man. This is another big game, man.
It's in Athens, which has me worried for the Wildcats. But like we were talking about earlier, Georgia's kind of sleepwalking through these first halves. And if you can get them behind and kind of lean on Ray Davis, like I think Kentucky could have a formula to kind of keep the Bulldogs at bay. So that could be pretty exciting to watch. And then the night game is Notre Dame at Louisville. So we will also find out how legit Louisville is when Notre Dame comes to town and plays the Cardinals.
Putting our teams to the test this week, man. We're really
we were so confident at 5-0, and then you will see us so sad at 5-1 next week.
Man.
So yeah, that's all I got for college football. You got any games that stuck out to you?
No, honestly, the games I'm most excited for this week are the Red River rivalry. I watch that game every year. I love watching that game. There's a lot of fun energy, and it's usually kind of an ugly game, but it's still fun to watch because those teams really just don't like each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then as a Cats fan, I didn't think we'd make it this far, and I'm going to be rooting my heart out against Georgia, but we're going to cross our fingers on that one. And Notre Dame, I always love watching Notre Dame, and I love watching the Cards lose, so I'll be on that one too. Don't worry.
Okay. All right, let's move to the NFL. The Jags, we left the Jags in London, so they're going to play there again.
I love that so much.
They play the Bills bright and early Sunday morning, so everybody can get their coffee and football fix. Texans Falcons stuck out to me because this NFL slate kind of stinks, but Texans Falcons should be fun. Texans being extra feisty. Falcons kind of in a slump the past two games. Lost to the Lions, lost to the Jags in London. Maybe a bit of a bounce back. Maybe some quarterback controversy, as everybody calls for Desmond Ritter's job.
What's new in Atlanta? What's new?
Yeah. You know how you fix that run? You just give the ball to Bijan Robinson.
Just give the ball to Bijan, my man.
Sunday night football is going to be incredible. It's Cowboys at Niners. I think that's probably going to be game of the year so far, I would imagine. Just those are probably two top five teams right now going toe to toe Sunday night.
Two top three defenses, arguably.
Yeah. Just, and those were the three games I noted. Everything else is like, who cares?
I'm going to be at the Bengals-Cardinals game. I'm just as excited to be there as everybody else is to watch it. So that'll be a game that is played.
I mean, I've never been to Cardinal Stadium. I bet it's dope.
I've heard it's super cool. I think I'm more excited to go to the stadium than to watch the game with how the Bengals have been playing. And I mean, the Cardinals are a scrappy team, so this could end up being a really competitive game.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And Kyler Murray's back, right?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I thought it was around this time. I don't know. Josh Dobbs has a jersey in the team store now. That's what matters.
We'll get to watch Paris Johnson and Dante Stills and John Gaines and a bunch of young, exciting Cardinals players who are trying to find a job.
I am super excited to watch Paris Johnson live.
It's me, him, Ohio State action because he's going to be playing Sam Hubbard the entire game.
Yes, he is, man. I'm excited. I like watching these like high-level O-linemen live because I feel like a lot of people talk about it, whether it's game speed or strength or whatever. Like it just hits a little different when it's right there because it's just so incredible to watch. Anyway,
oh yeah, you can bring the binoculars.
I might have to.
Are you nosebleeds or are you 50-yard line?
I'm trying to get a jersey signed, so I shelled out an extra couple dollars for the tunnel. But the tickets at this game started at like $30-something. So
I was about to say it was a Cardinals game, so you probably could just buy a couple.
And we got it early before they were scrappy,
tickets in case you want to move.
Well, I was like texting my wife one day, and I was like, well, I mean, we could probably honestly sell these and get better seats because the value has gone up somehow on the Cardinals.
Buy the seats in front of you, take your legs over.
I need to be able to watch the trenches, and it's hard to do that from the nosebleeds. But I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm excited.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yes, sir.
Going to football games is better than watching them.
That's not untrue.
That's all I got for this edition. Do you got anything else?
I'm gonna go do my film room, which I assume you won't be partaking in this week since you have spaghetti.
That is true. Yeah.
But that's all I got going on. I am now craving Italian food, so thank you, Jared. We have to talk about food at some point on this podcast, allegedly.
Parmigiana.
Go enjoy your food and don't let your wife be mad at me. Happy anniversary. Enjoy your pasta.
Thanks, man. We'll see y'all later.